Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Brand Innovators, for having us. James, good to see you again.
You too.
I'm so excited to be here today, adding to so many of the insightful conversations that you all have already heard from marketers from John Hancock to the Washington Post to Waldorf Astoria on consumer engagement. We'll cover a variety of topics today, ranging from engaging consumers at all stages of the purchase funnel to inclusive marketing, and we'll have a few minutes for Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in that little widget, right, that you'll see at the bottom, so we can get to those. Before we jump in, I'll do some quick introductions. I am your moderator, Nicole at Muscatello. I'm Regional Vice President of Sales at Undertone. Undertone creates memorable ad experiences across video, advanced TV, rich media, and social. We really bring together the art and science of intelligently crafted campaigns that will uplift consumers, brands, as well as publishers alike. Enough about us. I have an amazing guest lined up for you today. James Gregson, he is the creative director of digital at Lego. James brings a wealth of knowledge and over 15 years of senior leadership experience to this role. He previously was the head of social media studio at Lego, as well as the global senior team lead of digital channel engagement at Lego. So we're excited to learn more about your current role and dive into some of the exciting things that you're doing this year. So James, I'll let you kick it off. Tell us a little bit about your current role as creative director.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much. It's a mouthful when you share the background.
I had to practice a few times.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, so I've been at Lego now for 6 years. I started out as part of their digital channel engagement team that was really focused on adult communities. So everything from their high affinity fan networks to social media channels, all the way down to kids communities in the case of message boards on lego.com and kids communities on our owned mobile apps. And then, yeah, transitioned into the more purely creative side, part of our internal creative agency. So yeah, I'm the creative director across all things in the Americas, and part of, as I said, part of our internal creative agency. So responsible for everything from product advertising to brand campaigns to internal communications campaigns. It really spreads across a number of different communication streams.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a big role, and what an exciting place to be in a creative space for someone, a brand like Lego.
It doesn't get better than this. Yeah. I peaked early, for better or for worse. Yeah, the running line is the eight-year-old version of me does not appreciate the job that I have, nor does my 4-year-old for that matter. So maybe either of us will.
Well, Lego is such an iconic brand. It started as really just a toy that you would buy for your kids, but has quickly evolved, especially during the pandemic, so much more, and is sought out, strictly by adults now. So how has your creative and marketing strategy, over the past couple of years evolved to now engage those consumers of all ages?
Yeah, there's the famous sort of social meme or ad around there that Lego is, for 99 plus, right, on the box, the packaging. We have our age recommendations, but we really do believe that as a brand, we've always believed that our products are for everybody. I think on the flip side of that can make marketing and creative extremely challenging because we have such a broad net that we're trying to reach and trying to cast. But on the flip side, I think a lot of credit has to go to our CMO, who identified, and prioritized adults as a priority audience and a priority focus for the business. I think probably about 3 or 4 years ago. Now, we had always had adult fans, AFOLs, adult fans of Lego are a real thing. They have fan conventions, they have local community meetups, they create amazing content on social, but we've never specifically and proactively marketed it to them. And ever since they were identified as a priority audience, you may notice that small things like the amount of expensive products that we have on our shelf have increased, right? The amount of large scale, huge sets that we have on sale has increased, right? That's specifically directed at that adult consumer. Everything from what the recent AT-AT to the, I think it's like a 4-foot Titanic model. Those are not bought with the 8-year-old consumer in mind. Those are marketed and created with the adult consumer in mind. So it's been an exciting opportunity. I think it's also been a sort of fairly serendipitous one, because as I think we all felt it the last 2 years, those of us maybe who maybe I can say this because I'm a parent, we're lucky enough not to be parents through the last 2 years of COVID, found themselves with a lot more time in their hands. And we gained a huge number of adult audiences through the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, there's only so many hours you can spend in front of the TV, and how can you take your kids away from the learning experience and so much more that they get from Legos versus, just consuming content all day long.
Yes.
Really cool. So an interesting space for you as the creative director with a brand that has so much brand awareness and continues to grow and, broaden your audience reach. I was actually reading an article earlier today from Architectural Digest from December 2021, and it said that Legos might be a better investment than stocks, bonds, and gold because of how much the rapid growth you guys have had and the demand for these discontinued sets. So how are you constantly pushing the boundaries and getting creative to, keep these audiences loyal and evoke change to bring them further down the funnel time and time again?
It's a great question, and one that we are constantly challenging ourselves with. I think at the same time as well, there were many far smarter people before me, decades and decades and decades before me, that established this brand to be what it is today. And it is part of on us to not screw it up, quite frankly. But at the same time also, I think, we want to be more than just a toy brand. We want to be more than just, an entertainment brand with our movies and our TV content. I think we really do believe in this idea of being an experience brand, much in the same way that Apple does. And you want that same, sort of Lego brand experience to be felt through, from when you open up one of our sets to when you visit a store to when you download one of our apps. So it's a lot of iterating on that sort of that user journey and that evolution to a user journey, and a lot of a balancing act between digital and physical. We are very much a physical toy, and we cannot lose sight of that, even in the face of digital everything. So it is a constant challenge for sure, but an exciting one.
Yeah, exciting. I mean, for sure, of course, as kind of the digital evolution has come over the past few years, I'm sure there was a moment when, as the physical kind of touch of a Legos, you have to think about ways to still engage those consumers, even if the set's not sitting in front of them.
Yeah, correct. I think the most important thing is that you've got to we really try and focus on the brick. We have one sort of key strategic sort of principle across everything that we do, regardless of what department you're in, and that's to inspire builders of tomorrow. So that obviously that can be done in a number of different ways. I think for us, obviously the ideal scenario is with physical building, but whether if that's through an AR or a VR experience, for which we have a couple around in various platforms, that's also fine as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So going back to what you were saying about kind of building and expanding your audience, there's been an increased focus and a lens on inclusive marketing efforts. So how have you addressed that over the past few years, and how is Lego making sure they're showing up in an authentic way with consumers?
Yeah, great question. A really important question for us. I think there's a number of different ways. It doesn't take a killer detective to look and search and see that we've got pink bricks, right, and an entire product line that's dedicated with pink and purple bricks. Yes, those products are marketed in a certain way, but anyone can build with them many people do build with them. We have adult fans that build with them and rebuild, crazy R2D2 models in sort of re-envision ways. So I think, at a core, for the most part, our minifigures and our characters are yellow, right? So they're their own sort of race in of themselves, and that's also by design. I expect that to potentially change down the road. Yes, we have skin colored minifigures based on actors and things of that nature. I think our marketing is supposed to be inclusive, and will be even more inclusive as we sort of look to better encompass what the world looks like. We recently just piloted a Latinx creative campaign as a pilot, something that we've never done before, which was targeting a specific audience that had maybe had a certain opinion of Lego as this high-end, too expensive product. Now, while we have expensive products, certainly we also have a lot of low-end inexpensive products to support that price point. So we've sort of reintroduced or attempted to reintroduce our brand to that audience, and the early reads are that that's been super successful. So I hope we continue along that path and continue to to reach new audiences in different ways, and get the brand out there, because I do believe there is no better brand that supports this sort of idea of creative problem solving, which is a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, that's awesome and exciting to kind of put those strategies at the forefront. So how are you using data to inform the decisions you're making, specifically in that kind of for your inclusive marketing efforts?
Yeah, I think so. As I said, so our Latinx campaign was a pilot. It was a true test and learn. We only ran it in, I believe, 5 to 6 key markets in the U.S. And content was delivered in Spanish, and we'll look to scale that. That launched end of last year, and we'll look to reignite that and expand it to more markets. So we are sort of certainly looking at a data first approach to a lot of things. I mean, my background is in social, both from the channel management side as well as the creative side, where we data informed everything that we did, right? So we would know within the first 60 seconds if we posted something on Instagram or Facebook, whether it's going to perform well or not, which is a crazy place to play, considering how much effort it probably took to create the asset. But you really had to start looking at as less as a brand and more as a publisher or a creator. And yeah, that's why that creator space is such a fascinating space right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, social, it's the fastest way to get information in front of people. And especially in this crazy, our current events are changing by the second. So a lot of brands are doubling down on this kind of reactive marketing or kind of real-time marketing to engage their consumers. But like you said, in a matter of 5 seconds, you'll know whether this is working. So do you believe in these strategies? Do you think this is a successful way to engage your consumer and build that long-term kind of equity you're looking for, and what would your advice be to other marketers who are testing this out?
It's a controversial question, because we as a brand are, I wouldn't say committed to it, but we are definitely active in it. Everyone knows the Wordle craze, and congrats to Mr. Wordle who sold that to the New York Times. Great story. But when Wordle first reached peak, I think it was a couple weeks ago, we as a brand decided to create some content about it. And I think even Adweek featured that content, and I think that's a wonderful example of at least involving your brand in a way that you hope that makes sense and raises some level of brand awareness. But at the same time, I think that strategy it's challenging for a number of reasons. One is it's challenging because it takes a lot of focus and a lot of time and effort to stay on top of trends. Two, I'm just not sure the ROI is there anymore. Now I know the fast food vertical would disagree with me, where a lot of their their marketing effort to go to this sort of trend and cultural piece. And while cultural marketing should be really, really important, I do wonder in this day and age with so many different channels, with the sort of overall efficacy and value of social to brands potentially in decline, with all the changes to on the digital side. I wonder. I don't know. I see a lot of heated debates on LinkedIn and a lot of interesting debates on Twitter, but it's definitely a finer line than maybe we've ever had before in years past.
Yeah, and on that kind of efficacy of social, where do you see us moving? What changes do you think are going to come up in the next year or so?
Ooh, yeah, I mean, you've already seen it, right? I think, I don't want to say the value of the influencer because that makes it sound like what we were talking about, years ago. I think the creator space, and what the likes of TikTok has done for the creator space is really, really interesting. You look at these sort of brand partnerships, everything from Hugo Boss working and using a famous TikTok influencer as the face of their new campaign, to Gucci and North Face using a train spotting influencer on TikTok. I think that to me is the most interesting place to play, and doing it in a right way. I'll always use the sort of Casey Neistat and Samsung example as the marquee way to marry a brand and an influencer, and less look about them as influencers and more as creators, because they're going to do things for you that you as a brand might not be able to do. Certainly you wouldn't be able to do for the cost that they will be able to do it. So that's where I'd love the place to go. I'm really loving these brand partnerships. We've done some awesome ones. The Adidas partnership, I think was a really great fun one. We've done a partnership with IKEA, but as I said, I think that's a really, really fun place for brands to get involved. And then this creator space, which is just ripe with just amazing content.
Yeah, it's exciting. So with your background in social, how, and now kind of more pivoting into this, touching all channels from a creative standpoint, how did you navigate those new mediums, and what advice do you have for marketers who are making that jump as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'd lie if I didn't think if I didn't say there was a little bit of imposter syndrome there. For sure there was. So that's real. I think, listen, would I be at the forefront of a print campaign? Probably not. We have better people that are skilled for that. At the same time, I truly believe that I understand the value of. I understand how to tell a story on behalf of a brand, and what that looks like in various forms. I don't see a print ad being as different as an Instagram post. I see them quite simple. It all goes back to, how are you going to grab attention, and how are you going to keep that attention, and what's the action or emotion you're trying to incite. So, the fundamentals are still the same. It's just a little different.
Yeah, interesting. So on the point of attention and kind of that emotion, how are you measuring those two metrics with your consumers?
Ooh, yeah. Measurement is a good one. Coming from a very large, highly matrix organization like Lego, listen, matrix get twisted and manipulated and translated in a way that the deliverer of said information wants. And I think that is a challenge, right? Because you never know what good looks like and what bad looks like. I always say to my team, don't give me numbers in a vacuum. Give me comparative percentages, and I'll tell you if that's good or bad, or that will tell you if it's good or bad. Right? But we still hear it, right? I still hear things like, oh, that our OLV on YouTube got 3 million views. I'm like, well, what's our media budget? $3 million? Because if it was, no, that sort of thing. Because if it was, then maybe the content sucked. So I think it's about being very laser focused about what the objective of that campaign or of that individual asset or tactic is supposed to deliver on, and then know a singular and maybe one primary KPI and one secondary KPI, and then having benchmarks, right? And the amount of excuses I always hear about benchmarks is, well, it's not an apple to apples comparison. And I get it. There are different audiences and different objectives, but without the benchmark, there's no way to compare performance. So I'm very strict about that sort of stuff. I hate going into sort of creative reviews with my boss without those sort of benchmark data. Even if they're very general, we need to know what good looks like and what bad looks like.
Awesome. So internally this year, what are you most excited about on the horizon for Lego internally?
Ooh, what am I most excited about? Well, we've got a lot of, we always have, super exciting products to launch. So that makes our job very easy. I'll look at last year, my probably product highlight would be the home loan set. I'm actually building it right now. And, that makes our job incredibly fun, right? When I'm excited to share a product announcement, I know I've got the right job and I know I'm at the right place. But at the same time, I think I'm really excited about, some potential creative opportunities as it relates to, retention, right? So how do we retain these new adult customers that we've got, under our umbrella now? What does that look like? How do we go after smaller, more niche audiences? Like, do we come up with an opportunity for grandparents, who, have every right to be Lego fans as much as kids do? So those sort of, I think, incremental opportunities on top of the work that we'll do. I'm really excited to see if they can come to fruition.
That's awesome. On the topic of retention, there's another way to look at this too, is the competition that exists within your space. So
yes,
what are some ways that you guys are constantly kind of thinking ahead and also, I would say, responding to some of the other brands that are coming into the space and coming after Lego?
Yeah. Well, I think, we do we try to our best to separate ourselves from, the competition in that sense. We don't really feel like we've got competitors, but at the same time, I think I look at our competitors as the whole digital ecosystem, right? Whether it's YouTube, whether it's video games, anything that's taking away the attention of a potential builder, I see as a competitor. But I'll always flip that pancake and say, as a parent, although not as a parent of avid Lego builders yet, I always say, I'm so lucky to work for a brand where, no parent that I know of has ever said to their kid, stop playing with Lego. Whereas I could have a laundry list of things where I tell my kids to stop doing. So I think that's that is our key differentiator. I think we need to elevate that message and keep that message at the forefront, especially in this sort of world of digitization where kids are glued to their phones, glued to their iPads, glued to their TVs, whatever it may be. We want to really celebrate that while we have digital experiences, the core value proposition is a physical building experience that isn't digital.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's super important now more than ever,
Yes.
as we're glued to our computers and phones almost 24/7. But the industry, in general, is moving more digital. You mentioned, the introduction of AR and VR and some of the things that you're doing. There's a huge craze happening with the Metaverse and, so many brands entering that space. How are you guys dipping your toes in, and are you looking to expand in those areas?
I can't share too much on that outside of it's very rare that we as a brand will be first to do something, and that's by design. From a personal standpoint, listen, I think the Metaverse is for Lego potentially very interesting. Obviously, Roblox has done a great job in that space and really sort of built out something. I think with our sort of partnership with Minecraft and sort of our product experience with Minecraft, obviously there's a huge opportunity with that. Personally, I'm more excited about what Lego and NFTs could look like. I think that's a really exciting opportunity, but you will have to watch that space. I can't share more than that.
Yeah, NFTs. I mean, it's the kind of antithesis of Lego right now. The non-physical item to what you guys have built your brand on is getting those Legos into hands. But that's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where you guys continue to explore in that area.
Yeah, listen, it's a fascinating space. It's I personally think it's ripe for a potential dip in popularity, but it's still established enough now at this point where it will have a life for many years to come. It's just where and how it will be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And then going back to that one thing you said in terms of kind of like, helping kids, I think it was like push the brand forward and, create that experience and as a learning. How do you really, use creative to root that in your purpose and communicate that to your consumers so they think of that when, they're shopping for their children in the store or maybe even themselves?
Yeah, I mean, that is, again, it's one of the key value propositions of our product, right? Is that it is a small toy, that yes, there are, we have a category of consumers that we call build and display, right? Which for some parents is the worst nightmare, right? It's 4 hours worth of very peaceful, quiet entertainment for a kid, but then it just sits in the shelf and collects dust. But listen, I am one of those builders, but as a kid, I was not. And, we have an entire brand campaign that is principled on this idea of building and rebuilding, right? And it's called, the tagline is Rebuild the World. And it's based on this insight, right? That, parents and consumers see a lot of our products as this build and display, but years past, the product was build, rebuild, unbuild, build again, and it had this much longer life cycle, and we really believe in that. Personally, I think it's a fantastic place to be because it doesn't necessarily support commercial momentum. That's how strongly we believe in that sort of that value proposition of our product.
And the idea of rebuilding the world, do you think this has taken a different shape over the past 2 years with everything going on with the pandemic and so many other topics?
Well, I do ask the question myself sometimes of like, if we could see the future, would we have used the same terminology? But at the end of the day, yes, I think we would have. We are a brand that is playful at heart, and if we want serious undertones, if someone wants to use Lego to deliver a serious message, I'm all for that. It's a wonderful product for storytelling, in whatever format, whether that be stop motion, whether that be through, audio or visual, there's a number of ways to do that. So I think, yes, obviously, we live in a very different time than before this campaign landed, but at the same time, I think we still have the same responsibility as we did before, which was to, inspire the builders of tomorrow, and maybe we inspire them to, cure COVID once and for all, versus inspire them to build a set they never thought they could build.
Awesome. I love it. And when you're creating these messages and you look for partners to help you distribute this, what are some of the criteria that you kind of, determine when deciding, whose platform to use to get this in front of your consumers?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think we work very closely with our media agency on that front. I think from a creative standpoint, we have maybe a sort of different approach than most internal agencies do. We very much believe in this notion of know what we know, and most importantly, know what we don't know, right? So in the case of our Latinx campaign, while my co-creative director is Colombian, he's one person and he's not going to shape the entire campaign. So we wanted this to be authentic. We wanted this to come across authentically and really work. So probably wasn't a good idea to have a bunch of creatives who are American by descent or European by descent and not Hispanic. So we partnered with Casanova, a McCann agency that specializes in Latinx creative campaigns, and sort of married our brand stewardship and our understanding of what you can do with the Lego brick and what you can't do with the Lego brick, and that list is long, with an agency that knows storytelling to that Latinx community, right? So everything from combining our strategists on the Lego side to understand our audience and the Lego audience and the sort of business challenges, all the way through to co-producing the TV spot, the radio spot, the social assets. So I think it was a really interesting future look at the way that we potentially want to do business, right? Because we can't just hire on different skill sets for smaller projects. We didn't know, say, for example, that Latinx was going to work. It's very much about that test and learn, and it enables us to bring in world-class partners to deliver world-class content.
And this test and learn environment, is this something that has been built into your strategy so you can be more nimble?
Yes.
And find new ways to engage your consumers? And how important do you think that is for brands to adopt that same strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can, the term gets thrown around a lot for sure. And I think it's a good term that gets used as an excuse to do something. I think, when we do it, we're doing it from the case of, we want these programs to get funded right into the long term. So we are very, very focused on what are we trying to answer and what are we trying to see from a performance standpoint, so that if it works, there's a very clear understanding of if it worked, and if it didn't work, we all understand that it didn't work. So yeah, I think yes, it's a wonderful way to not obviously put all your eggs in one basket, but also use it transparently and not as an excuse to try something new and not involve a bunch of people.
Yeah. Awesome. So you've been at Lego for 6 years now. What advice would you have now for yourself 6 years ago when you first started? And what do you think is, I'll let you answer that question first, then I'll get to my second
part. Be patient. I joined Lego after running my own business for 5 years, which was probably honestly the worst thing I could have done, because I was responsible for everything, from invoicing to copywriting to development of a website, for example, all the way through to, and now at Lego, obviously I'm a cog of a very big machine that moves without me. So I think patience would be the number one thing that I would have probably told myself before. I still tell it to myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's great advice, and I need to tell myself that every day as well, in not only work environments, but every facet of life.
Yeah.
So over those 6 years, what do you think is one of the key skill sets that you've taken away and really embody now that you would give advice to other marketers who are looking to be in your shoes one day?
Ooh. So one thing that I really believe in is this idea of your sort of expertise T. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but basically this idea that have broad experience and really don't specialize too far, right? So the length of your T, but have a wide enough T that you have experience in a bunch of different things. I think that is really, really something that I believe in. I used to have performance marketing report into me when I was part of our digital channel engagement team, right? And that's not because it was given to me. That's because I wanted it, because I believe the value of what that could do for our communities. So all the way through to creating TV campaigns right now. Also surround yourself with people with expertise in those categories. But I really buy into this notion of your having a broad enough experience in different categories, but not so broad that you can't specialize in something or be a specialist in one thing that you're ultimately responsible for. So yeah, that's what I tell a lot of mentors or mentees that I work with today.
Yeah, it's great advice, and it's been very successful for you. So congratulations so far. One of the Q&As that I have coming through, it's more of a fun one. So what is your favorite Lego partnership and set of all time?
Oh man, I mean, I'm hard pressed. Home Alone's my favorite Christmas movie, right? And it's no, it's not January anymore, so I can't really even talk about Christmas in February now. But yeah, I'd have to say the Home Alone set is maybe my favorite. It's just such a good movie, and I had every intention to like watch the movie and build it at the same time, but I have 3 kids under 4, and there's no time. So
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, James. It was great chatting with you today and learning more about the brand and your successes. It is truly inspiring.
thanks so much.
Best of luck.